Welcome, students, to the AK Virtual Maths channel. Take a deep breath, grab your notebooks, and let's just work through this density exam prep explainer together. I am so glad you're here, and I promise you, by the end of this session, you're going to feel completely confident tackling absolutely any density question your physics exam throws at you. Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. 1. Core concepts. 2. Regular solids. 3. Volume by displacement. 4. Liquid density. And finally, 5. Floating, sinking, and layering. All right, let's jump right in. Look at this massive iron ocean liner packed with passengers. Despite weighing tens of thousands of tons, it stays right on the ocean's surface, while a tiny, lightweight pebble dropped over the side will sink straight to the bottom. The reason behind this behavior has nothing to do with their total weight. The difference is density, a measure of exactly how tightly packed the matter is within a specific amount of space. Floating is determined by density. This is a measure of how tightly packed a material's mass is within a specific amount of space. Simply put, density is the mass per unit volume of a substance. Think about it this way. You know when someone asks you if lead is heavier than wood? Well, what they really mean is that a specific volume of lead has way more mass than the exact same volume of wood. It's basically a measure of how tightly packed the matter is inside an object. We calculate this property by taking an object's mass and dividing it by its volume. The more mass squeezed into the same amount of space, the higher the density. We calculate density by dividing an object's mass by its volume. You can use this formula triangle as a visual shortcut. Covering the density symbol leaves mass over volume. Finding density always requires measuring two properties, its mass and its volume. So the absolute most crucial point here is memorizing this formula. Rho equals m over b. That's density equals mass divided by value. Your mass will usually be in kilograms or grams, and your volume in cubic meters or cubic centimeters. Oh, and definitely check out the magic triangle tip. You literally just cover the value you need with your finger to see how to calculate it. For example, if you need volume, cover the V, and bam, you're left with mass divided by density. It is a total lifesaver during exams. To find the density of a regular solid, like a wooden block, we first measure and multiply its length, width, and height to find its volume. Then we place it on a scale to measure its mass. Finally, we divide that mass by the volume to get our density. As long as we can accurately determine the mass and the volume of any object, we can mathematically predict exactly how it will behave in water. That formula works perfectly for a block. Let's start with a regular rectangular block. By placing it on a digital balance, we find it has a mass of 120 grams. Measuring the sides gives us dimensions of 4 centimeters by 3 centimeters by 5 centimeters. To get the volume, we multiply length, width, and height, giving us 60 cubic centimeters. Now we take our 120-gram mass and divide it by our 60 cubic centimeter volume. This gives the block a density of exactly 2 grams per cubic centimeter. For a regular solid, like, say, a rectangular block, we just follow 4 really simple steps. First, find the mass using a balance. Second, measure the dimensions, length, width, and thickness with a standard ruler. Third, multiply those dimensions together to find your volume. And step 4, just divide that mass by the volume. See? We're just relying on basic math skills here. All right, practice time. Here is a classic exam question. A rectangular steel bar is 4 centimeters long, 3 centimeters wide, and 1 centimeter thick. It has a mass of 96 grams. What is its density? I want you to pause this explainer right now, grab your calculator, and try to work this out yourself. Seriously, pause it. You've got this. Okay, let's see how you did. Step 1, we find the volume by multiplying 4 by 3 by 1, giving us 12 cubic centimeters. Step 2, our mass is 96 grams. Step 3, we plug it into our formula. Density equals 96 divided by 12. Brilliant job. If you got 8 grams per cubic centimeter. See how easy it is when we break it down step by step? But what happens when you have an irregularly shaped object, like a jagged rock? We cannot reliably use a ruler to measure the length, width, and height of an irregular object, like a jagged rock. You can't measure it with a ruler. We solve this using the displacement method. When a submerged object is dropped into water, it pushes an exact equivalent of its own volume out of the way. Looking at this cross-section of a measuring cylinder, we rely on the displacement method to find volume.
First, we fill the cylinder with a baseline amount of water and record the starting level. When we drop the rock in, it pushes the water out of the way and the water level rises. To find the exact volume of the rock, we subtract our initial volume reading from this new, higher reading. Volume is simply the amount of 3D space an object occupies. For complex shapes, displacement isolates that exact amount of space quickly and accurately. Here, we have a 60-gram rock dropping into a cylinder filled with 50 cubic centimeters of water. The water level rises to 60. By subtracting the starting volume from the final volume, 60 minus 50, we can prove the rock's volume is exactly 10 cubic centimeters. Now it's your turn. Pause the video. Use our formula triangle to calculate the density of this rock, using the mass and volume shown on screen. Mass over volume. 60 grams divided by 10 cubic centimeters gives this rock a density of 6 grams per cubic centimeter.
And this animated diagram of volume displacement brilliantly illustrates the solution. When an object is immersed in water, it pushes the water upwards. Because that water has literally nowhere else to go, that exact increase in the water's volume is absolutely equal to the volume of the object. You are definitely going to see this on your exam, so make sure you memorize this 5-step sequence. First, note the initial volume of water in a measuring cylinder. Second, completely immerse the irregular object. Make sure it sinks. Third, note the new, higher water volume. Fourth, subtract the initial volume from the new volume to get the object's volume. And finally, step 5, calculate the density using the object's mass from a balance. Let's put that into practice. The initial water level in a measuring cylinder is 50 cubic centimeters. A pebble is dropped in, and the level rises to 60 cubic centimeters. The pebble weighs 60 grams. What is its density? Time to hit pause on the explainer again and test your skills on this displacement calculation. Take your time. Let's review. Step 1. Volume equals the new level, 60, minus the old level, 50, which gives us 10 cubic centimeters. Step 2. The mass is 60 grams. Step 3. Density equals 60 grams divided by 10 cubic centimeters. Excellent work. By subtracting those water levels, you found the volume was 10, making the final density 6.0 grams per cubic centimeter. You are doing fantastic.
Solids aren't the only materials with mass and volume. Liquids possess both, which means they also have specific densities. Measuring the mass of a liquid requires one extra mathematical step. Because you cannot pour a fluid directly onto a scale, you must weigh the empty beaker, weigh the beaker with the liquid inside, and subtract the empty beaker's mass to find the true mass of the fluid itself. When working with liquids, you have to separate the fluid from its container. First, place an empty measuring cylinder on a scale and set the scale to 0. Then, pour the liquid in. Our scale reads 40 grams, the mass of the liquid alone. Now we need the volume. Look closely at the surface of the liquid in the cylinder. It forms a slight downward curve, known as a meniscus. To measure volume accurately, read the scale completely horizontally, right at the lowest point of that curve. Here, it sits at 50 cubic centimeters. We divide our 40-gram mass by our 50 cubic centimeter volume, and we get a liquid density of 0.8 grams per cubic centimeter. Whether measuring a hard block with a ruler or pouring a fluid into a cylinder, the core math of the density equation stays exactly the same. You are simply using different tools to find the volume. But
You can't just pour a liquid straight onto a balance, right? So step 1, find the mass of an empty beaker. Step 2, pour a known volume of liquid into it from a measuring cylinder. Step 3, find the total mass of the beaker plus the liquid. Now, step 4 is the most important part. Subtract the empty beaker's mass from the total mass. Because we can't weigh a liquid without a container, the absolutely crucial step here is remembering to subtract the mass of the empty beaker to get just the liquid's mass. Then, step 5, you calculate density as usual. Let's try it out. An empty beaker weighs 130 grams. After pouring in 50 cubic centimeters of an unknown liquid, the total weight is 170 grams. What is the liquid's density? Go ahead and hit pause to solve this one, keeping that subtraction rule in mind. Let's calculate. Step 1, the liquid's mass is the total mass, 170 grams, minus the beaker's mass, 130 grams. That leaves us with exactly 40 grams of liquid. Step 2, the volume is 50 cubic centimeters. Step 3, density equals 40 divided by 50, Spot on. The mass of just the liquid is 40 grams, giving us a final density of 0.8 grams per cubic centimeter. Section 5, Floating, Sinking, and Layering. This is where we use everything we've learned to predict whether things will float or sink. It gets really visual and fun.
We can predict how these objects behave in water. Pure water's density is exactly 1.0. Our rock sits at 6.0, meaning it is denser than water, and it sinks. But our earlier wooden block has a density of 0.8, meaning it is less dense than water, so it floats. This rule applies to liquids too. Some liquids are immiscible, meaning they refuse to mix. If we pour oil, which has a density of 0.8, into water, it behaves just like the woodblock and floats on top. In any fluid environment, objects or liquids with lower relative density always rise to the top, while those with a higher density will sink to the bottom. This image shows a liquid density tower, made of 3 completely distinct, non-mixing layers. If we mix multiple liquids that are immiscible, meaning they do not dissolve into one another, they follow a strict physical rule. The liquid with the lowest density floats on top, and the liquid with the highest density sinks to the bottom. Gravity acts as an automatic sorting mechanism, stacking unmixable fluids strictly according to their calculated density. Here is a data table showing the raw mass and volume for 3 fictional unmixable liquids, red, blue, and green. Pause the video here. Calculate the density for each liquid using the formula, and try to predict the exact order they will stack in this empty glass. In our table, red's density is 1.25, green's 1.0, and blue's 0.86. The densest sinks. Red forms the base, green the middle, and blue floats on top. A denser rock, over 1.25, sinks through all 3 layers to the absolute bottom. Here is your final challenge. If we drop a plastic block with a calculated density of 0.9 into this tower, can you predict exactly where it will settle? The block is denser than the 0.8 oil, so it sinks right through that top layer. However, it is less dense than the 1.0 water. Because of that, it stops sinking and becomes trapped right on the boundary between the 2 liquids. You now have 3 tools to solve any density problem: the formula triangle for isolating mass and volume, the displacement method and meniscus reading for gathering accurate volume data, and the floating rule, telling you exactly what will rise and what will sink. By understanding these 3 rules, you can predict the physical behavior of matter in any fluid environment, whether it's a small plastic block in a beaker or even tens of thousands of tons of iron crossing an ocean.
So, the golden rule for your exam is this. An object will sink if its density is greater than a liquid, and it will float if its density is lower. For instance, ice is 0.92, which is less than 1.0, so ice floats on water. But if the object is more dense, it sinks. Glass has a density of 2.5, which is greater than 1.0, so it sinks right to the bottom. Fun fact, the planet Saturn has a density of only 0.69. That literally means if you could find a bathtub big enough, the entire planet would float. You've got to memorize this relationship. Here is our final practice problem for today's session. Liquid A has a density of 0.8 grams per cubic centimeter, and water is 1.0. If they do not mix, which liquid claims the top spot? One final pause. Think about the rule we just learned. And the answer is liquid A wins, because 0.8 is less than 1.0, it is less dense, so it floats right on top. Before we wrap up, remember these quick exam tips. Always double check your units. Don't mix up grams per cubic centimeter with kilograms per cubic meter. When reading measuring cylinders, always read horizontally at the bottom of the curve, called the meniscus, and never forget the displacement method for irregular objects. Keep these in mind and you are going to absolutely crush your physics test. So think about it. How many things in your everyday life can density actually explain? From ice cubes in your drink to giant ships floating on the ocean, it's everywhere. If you could magically alter your own density, would you choose to float among the clouds or sink down and walk safely across the ocean floor? Thank you so much for joining me today. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this explainer so we can keep studying together right here on AK Virtual Maths. See you next time.